Stacey the Blackfeather Intuitive, and welcome to Divinely Decked Tarot and Oracle Reviews done Stacey style. And today we are checking out the astrological characteristics within a deck of what a deck would be for a Taurus. And I'm really excited to be checking this one out. I actually chose 3 decks for this video. So we've got 1 tarot deck and 2 oracle decks that are from my personal collection. And of course, I would love to hear from, the Taurians, whether this is your sun, moon, or rising sign, your Mars or Venus. You can even look at it for that, or for anyone who has a Taurus in their life that they love and would like to get to know a little bit more. This is going to be a great video to watch. So without further ado, let's get to it and see what decks I've chosen for the Taurus. Okay, so our first deck is called the Woven Path Tarot. This was a Kickstarter campaign deck, and it is a collaborative deck and a collaborative effect. And I thought, this would be great. Taurians are salt of the earth. They're sensual in nature. They love the sensual pleasures of life. They have been around for a long, long time. So they're very, I want to say, rooted in their service. They know what they like. They can be a bit, of course, the bull. They can be a bit stubborn, a bit inflexible, not so quick to change things up. They like to have a plan. They like to know where things are at, where things are going. They also know when to stop and smell the roses, which I think is just fabulous. And so the Woven Path Tarot, they also love luxurious things, understanding that value and worth. Venus is their, sort of their ruling planet. And so I chose this because it's got this beautiful filigree on the back. So we've got a lot of luxury, value, worth. It is a beautiful gilded deck on the side. So it's beautiful. It also is a deck that's going to really connect you to nature. And I just wanted to point out that it is a beautiful dragon. And it's reversible. So, you're looking at that beautiful dragon. So even just the imagery of this is luscious. It's absolutely gorgeous. That dragon energy. So Taurians are earth-based, but that means that they can support all of the elements. And that fire energy is like their companion. So let's just kind of take a peek here and see what this is all about. So I love all of the nature references that you will see throughout this particular deck. There's also a little bit of the new world meets the old world, but in this particular deck, it also really lends itself to, I want to say, the ancient. There's nods to the ancient. So we have this portal keeper, this gatekeeper, and they're dressed in almost like that Shaolin monk robe and garb, carrying the wand and, ready for action at a moment's notice. Here we have, the page of coins, the page of pentacles is in a beautiful nature scene in a meadow, getting ready to plant, their seeds. They're dressed in sort of old-fashioned garb, but not everything is old-fashioned. Here we have a gorgeous blackbird, a raven or a blackbird. So we're seeing a lot of nature references here. But there's along with that sensuality that Taurians share, or Tauruses share, there's also this really deep, I want to say, spiritual side to them, spiritual component. They're very drawn to the esoteric. They're very drawn from a third eye perspective to things that for other people are very unknown. To them, it just makes total sense because, again, they've been around the block a few times. So, there's no real surprise there. Sorry, I'm just going to adjust my camera a bit there to get the best view and the best picture. Here we have the Chariot. So again, old world energy, established, but absolutely gorgeous scenery, gorgeous artistic approach. Here we have a beautiful Leo the Lion. So this tarot deck also has added cards for each of the astrological signs. That's a very Taurian thing to do as well, to be inclusive, to to all signs, to everyone involved, being inclusive about all of the aspects of the world. Three of Swords, instead of, a bloodied heart, we have a heart that is healing. And that's a very Taurian kind of energy to engage with. Here we have a beautiful Ace of Cups. We've got a really nice juxtaposition in the colors between the reds and the greens. And I feel like this is very heart-based for a Taurus. I would say this would be like a Taurus energy, that they love passionately, they love deeply, they love hard, they're all in. They're also healers in many ways, and their love is healing. 10 of Wands, she's in a wheat field, so there's a lot of reference here to nature. Here we have little fairy spirits. I also really like that this is a collaborative deck, and sometimes with a collaborative deck, it can, the message can fall short because, the imagery is not consistent. But I feel like with Taurus energy, because you've been around the block, again, you're not quick to change, but you also have a lot of knowledge and awareness of, I want to say, wisdom and knowledge that spans the globe, spans the ages. And so, here we have a very futuristic kind of approach to the emperor, even though he's dressed in kind of an older style, traditional style way. 9 of Cups, the imagery here is reflective of, I would say, more of an Asian, an antique Asian style of artwork. And Tauruses can find the beauty in artwork, and Tauruses find the beauty in history and nature and different styles and different approaches of a message coming across and coming through. There's so much from a color perspective that really leans into that Mother Earth, Gaia energy here. The occasional card has that, pop of color like the Ace of Cups has. But all of the other, most of the other cards in this deck are very reflective of that earthy nature. You can really feel like you can relate to these images. And anything that is a little fantastical, I would imagine it is connected to your imagination space, the dreams, the dream world, things that you can dream up, that you can add into this next life or this next iteration of you. 10 of Coins. So, coins energy, that's your element. So here we are seeing a lot of the green of the heart. Tauruses also tend to be very, I want to say, savvy with their money. They either marry well, marry into money, or they can create a lot of their own money because they understand their own value and worth. And I feel like this is a deck that represents a lot of that. Here's your Taurus card. So here we have the white of the bull, and we have a younger child who is old in his eyes, right? Like old soul energy. We're seeing the black and white of things, which means, you've been there and done that and bought the t-shirt on all of it, which means that now you get to, this is a new canvas. You get to create whatever you want. You get to add the color into your own life. I think that's just gorgeous. I love that concept. 4 of Coins, and another earth-based energy. Here we have the Libra card. So again, a lot of nature coming through here, subtler colors or colors that I want to say speak to the gentleness of your soul. But of course, bulls can be very gentle until they're antagonized, until they're riled up. And then you're going to get something very different, and you're going to deserve what you get in that regard, right? So this Woven Path Tarot, I feel, is a great deck for a Taurus or a person who's reading for a Taurus. I feel like this deck really embodies all of those characteristics. Here's beauty, right? That 3 of Wands showing the beauty of expansion, sort of that peachy color that's coming in. We don't often see peach in a tarot deck, and yet it's just absolutely gorgeous. Here we have Gemini and Virgo. So we have another earth card. So the Woven Path Tarot, to me, really speaks of that gorgeous Taurus energy. The next deck that I chose that, I mean, it just screamed Taurus to me, is the Sacred Earth Oracle. And I have a couple of Taurus, really good Taurus friends in my life, and I've also dated one of my one of the, I want to say, the real true, like, not the first love of my life, but the first one that, I don't know, like, he just changed everything for me. He was a Taurus, and he's I called him my German boy. He's happily married in Germany with, 2 kids, and it's all worked out exactly the way it needed to work out, but he was the one that just, like, changed everything. And so, I have fond memories, let's put it that way. I have fond memories of that Taurus energy. So, Sacred Earth Oracle, it is by Tony Carmine Salerno and Leela J. Williams. This is a Blue Angel production, Blue Angel publication. The guidebook is beautiful, kind of that creamy white and black and white imagery. Gives you, the earthly meaning, the spiritual meaning, and insight to each of the cards. I want to say fairly short, sweet, and to the point. And let's just take a peek and see why I think this is just really a delicious deck to reflect Taurus energy. So, first of all, the artwork in this is stunning. It is on that shinier cardstock. It's a larger oracle, like the size of my hand. I have big hands, and it's basically the size of my hand. So they're pretty big. But I mean, like, the imagery is just, it's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. It's nature based, very, like, shamanistic, I would say, but it also plays on some of that galactic stuff. Look at this core. Look at how the heart is just, I mean, it's rippling out there. Absolutely stunning. Patterns. I love that it is keywords, but it's not like your typical average boring keywords. Like, it kind of like core, like, get to the core of it. What is that? The root, or what is your core understanding of where things are at? What's going on with your heart? Like, let's just look at, like, maybe you're paying more attention to your solar plexus chakra, and you should be paying attention to your core, right? We think of the core as the solar plexus, but this is saying, no, your heart is the core of what's going on. Patterns. When we're looking into this imagery, there's so much to look at in the card depiction, that you can understand, different patterns and cycles that are going through my life. Connection. Where am I seeking connection? Where do I have connection in my life? Where am I feeling disconnected? And I love that it's kind of like a sea energy without it being blue. It's green. So very earth-based energies. Here we have two indigenous women who are working together in some kind of ceremony. They're working with each other to find balance. Perhaps they're twins, perhaps they're sisters. Motion. Look at the beautiful energy that comes through that card. So this, like, it's just beautiful. It's sensual. Every card image that I look at, there's sensuality in this. The artist clearly is very sensual in their nature. They could be a Taurus. I don't know for sure, or not, but there's this depth of wisdom that comes through each of the images that really just, says to me, oh, this is someone who feels, who knows, who understands, who is, owns the fact that they are a part of this life, this planet Earth. Everything is nature, but there's like a deep appreciation for the nature. Here's kind of that phoenix energy coming through here. Heat. Expectation. This is the image on the front of the card box. Center yourself, or what is at the center of this issue? What do you need to, revolve your choices around at this time? Ooh, this one's got a little something on it. Ready but waiting. I like this. This is kind of like, okay, universe, I've put out my manifestation, and I'm going on about my daily life. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to say yes and answer the call. Just waiting for you to give me the call. stretching outside the box, stretching your neurons, the neurons in your brain, learning, growing as a person, growing as an individual, renewal, just like, oh, this feels very Taurus to me. And yet, I would say from that, maybe from the loyalty perspective, there's a lot of loyalty in, I want to say, the imagery here, uh, loyal to the sort of the primary colors, loyal to the chakras, loyal to Gaia, loyal to Mother Earth. There's a respect that you feel that goes into each of the individuals and the beings that are being depicted. And I feel that's a very Taurus thing, to step in, to honor people, to share what, the beauty that you see. I feel like Tauruses tend to be very empowering in general, empowering in nature when they are balanced, wanting to see the best in people and not being afraid to point out the good qualities, also not afraid to say, hey, actually you got that wrong, or no, that doesn't feel like it resonates, try again, like they're not pushovers. Tauruses really kind of know their space, know themselves, know their worth. So again, that worthiness piece, right? Their ruling planet is Venus. So beauty and value and worth, understanding. And there's nothing minimalist about this deck at all. They go all out. It's about the abundance of things. So yes, this deck, Sacred Earth Oracle, screams to me Taurus. Taurus energy, absolutely beautiful. So the artwork in this, I didn't mention, is by Helena Nelson Reed. And wow, what a beautiful job Helena did. I wish I knew whether she was a Taurus or not. That'd be kind of cool if she was. And the third deck that I chose today is the Threads of Fate Lumen Edition Oracle. And this one I chose because not all Taurians are, I want to say, like attached or connected to the past. I would say a lot of them are future forward, but they just are future forward in a way that they need to feel comfortable with what's coming up. They need to feel comfortable knowing that they're making these choices and they can follow a particular plan. So it's not that they don't like change, period, end of story. It's that they don't like change that is not initiated by them. I guess would be a good way to put it. So this was also a Kickstarter campaign deck. It's by the creators of the Threads of Fate. They have a number of different deck offerings out there. This is the only one that I have by them. The guidebook is pretty handy. This is a 2020 edition. So you've got your index going on. They tell you a little bit, like the usuals. They have it broken up into the different elements. And I think it's really interesting that, and I didn't realize this when I pulled it out, that Earth is the first one listed. And you can't say, well, we just went based on alphabetical order, because that would be air would go first. So again, Earth, that says to me, okay, Earth signs are involved here. And it gives you, what's interesting about this deck is it gives you a little message. It gives you an exercise to do. It talks about a particular animal, so very connected to that shamanistic energy. It gives you a root or an herb that assists you with the context of the card, and it gives you a crystal that you can work with that represents the energy of all of that. And they have a number of different ways that they break it up. We also have the ether, which I think is really important: unseen archetype, infinite self, spirit analysis, internal landscape. Okay, so let's take a look. So I chose this because, again, it's gilded, but it's gilded in gold, in a kind of a matte gold, which I thought was interesting. It's high value. The quality of this card is very high value. It's got, I want to say, that rose petal finish. It fits well in the hand. It's got gold filigree. It is reversible. I mean, the detail is exquisite. in this deck. It feels good to work with. It looks beautiful. Let's just take a peek. Sorry, I'm having, the time of day now. I'm having sun issues that are sort of popping up, but this is transmute. This is connect to heart. I don't know if you guys can see that. Maybe I'll have to hold these up a little bit so you can see them. So I chose it for the gold because the gold represents that luxury, that value and worth, the quality. Connect to the heart. You've got two Labrador dogs. They're back to back or ear to ear in this case. The imagery is, I would say, simple, but the background is very imaginative, which I feel is very much reminiscent of a Taurus, and how they, connect to the world at large, higher perspective. The Alchemist. So this is an oracle deck, so it's based on the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot. You can see elements of that in there, but it is its own deck. Power. So this is a wand card, wand energy. I don't know if you can see all of that. I'm trying to get it so that you can really see the gilding. Compassion. So here we have a beautiful stag head, and the stag head is a skull. And so compassion for what has transmuted, what has died. Fate, we have the cosmic egg being represented. I don't use this deck a lot in my on my channel in my readings, simply because of exactly what you're seeing here, which is not, it doesn't show up so well in readings unless I'm kind of like holding it up to you like this. But flat, it's a little bit different. But you can see here, there's there's beauty. We have all of the elements represented. The earth, the respect for the earth is being shown through all of the animals that are being featured in this deck. Key words are very, I'm looking at reflective of the meaning of the cards. They're gorgeous to look at. They're gorgeous to work with. All of the backgrounds are a little bit different. I think that's incredible too. Just shifting certain things up, using the same color palette, but everything is a little different. I feel like that's a very Taurus trait too, that you want to make it special. You want to make it your own. You don't want to get too bogged down in the weeds, overthinking it. You want it to go out into the world. So there's more of a simplistic approach to it, but gorgeous. And everything I want to say is really thought out well. Detailed, the wildling, patience. Here we have a tortoise shell on there. We'll do a couple more. Sacred sexuality. So here we are. It's like the womb, but the womb is the world. I think that's really pretty. Okay, we'll do a couple more here. Death. So here we have the skull, right? The Santa Muerte. And it's so designed, it's detailed, it's beautiful, very ornate. Self-love. The peacock. Love this. Threads of Fate, I believe you can still get this edition, or cards that are like this, similar to this, if you go to the threadsofate.com. Strength. Like I said, I did get it in a Kickstarter campaign, but I know that they do offer other decks. They've created probably 4 or 5 decks at this point. Nature. So yes, I thought this would be a perfect depiction of that. I want to say that Venusian energy that Taurus imbues and embodies. And that is the Threads of Fate Lumen Edition. Oh my goodness, guys. Okay, so that is our episode of Divinely Decked. Hoping you really enjoyed this. All you Tauruses or lovers of Taurus, feel free to put in the comments below if you liked some of these selections, if you think I'm totally off my rocker with them. Would love to create a dialogue with you guys. I, as always, love sharing my love of tarot and oracle, and any way I can find to do that, I'm all in. Until we see you guys for another episode of Divinely Decked, I'm sending you lots of love and support. We will see you on the flip side, and transform well. That's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was great to connect with you guys. Please like, subscribe, and comment for more content like this. And feel free to follow me on Blue Sky for even more content every single day. Can't wait to see you guys next week for another installment of Black Feather Couture, Divining the VIP Life.